running up the score. Jerry.
He just sucks.
He's not good.
let's just put it out on the table. He's not a good quarterback.
Oh, way to join a team that already won a title.
You know, Ben is unique. These guys are unique. They're championship runs. I mean, this one's unique.
Let's hope some people still get thrown at and, get hit in baseball.
Keep it interesting,
right?
Yeah.
I can't take this guy serious right now.
I dare you to watch it and tweet us. Tell us, oh, you know what? This is a hell of a sport.
Where's this been all my life?
The New York Jets you know what they need to do with their second round pick? They need to just start taking it and lighting it up on fire.
Where's that quarter? Let me look at that one more time.
This is Running Up the Score.
And it starts now.
All right, it's time to run up the score. Running up the score with Jerry Napoleonello. 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. I want to hear what you guys have to talk about with the NFL draft this week. Some NBA playoffs. Anything that you have on your mind that you want to talk about. 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. It's Running Up the Score is brought to you by Yelphi Sports App. We are live on Zenolive and Periscope. Wow, I have so much for you today. Today's going to be a great show. It's draft week. I love this week. I love the NFL draft. I'm a geek when it comes to this. This is probably one of my favorite things in the world, and the thing that was invented that I love more than anything is the War Room Cam. It's a dream of mine to spend day one of the NFL draft in any one of the NFL teams' war rooms. One of my favorite movies is Draft Day. Just everything that goes into the draft is awesome. So I have, a mock draft for you today. I have other mock drafts from ESPN, Sporting News, and Sports Illustrated. We'll compare those to mine. Also, we had the NFL schedule released last week. We'll get into that and what I think about, who's got the easiest schedule, who's got the hardest schedule. We'll go over a bunch of things, some primetime games, this and that, whatever. And how can I forget the NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs? We're having solid series all around. A lot of headlines here and there, so I got to talk about those. And, of course, baseball is in full swing, no pun intended. We will get into all of this today and much more, but thanks for joining us. We got a great show ahead of us. The first thing that I'm going to start off with is the NBA playoffs. I'm going to get into the NFL draft. Don't worry if you're here to listen to what I have to say about the draft. It's coming. But first, I got to get into the NBA playoffs. NBA playoffs, everything that we probably would have wanted to if you're a basketball fan. This is, every series so far has some kind of headline, and it's fun to watch. It's been fun to watch. Every single series has been fun to watch. I mean, you have the Celtics and the Bucks, which is, you're seeing Giannis Antetokounmpo. We kind of know that he's a star, but he's kind of showing his star status. Then you have guys like Russell Westbrook, Paul George, not so much Paul George, but definitely Carmelo Anthony. These guys are crashing. The OKC Thunder are crashing. I'm going to get into that. And we actually have a young team that we can all probably say is the best team in the East, and that's the Sixers. I'm excited to talk about all of this. We spoke about it before, like last week and the week before, here and there. Now, we're going to get into it because we're starting to get down to the last games of a bunch of the first round series. And, I want to talk about what we got, what we got on tap. First I'm going to start off with the OKC Thunder. And they have laid an egg. They're down 3-1 now. They're facing elimination. It's almost a certainty that Paul George will not be back with this team. And as a Lakers fan, I was kind of hoping for this because I knew if this team went to the finals, Paul George is going to want to stay. Instead of going to a team that's up and coming, why not stay with a team that's already there? But the fact that they can't even get past the first round against the Utah Jazz, and Russell Westbrook's getting outplayed by Ricky Rubio and a rookie in Donovan Mitchell, is bad. It's a bad look on Russell Westbrook and his career. The biggest thing is we saw, I guess, in the last 2 games, we saw the immaturity in Russell Westbrook. And there's been a lot of talk of that. There's always been talk of Russell Westbrook being immature and tough to play with. Obviously ever since Kevin Durant left. And I'm going to get into some Kevin Durant, and Russell Westbrook talk in a little bit. But so after Game 3, Utah Jazz win. Ricky Rubio has a game and a half. Beats up on Russell Westbrook. So in the press conference, now I want you to hear what Russell Westbrook has to say. Then I'm going to basically talk about it, and then I have another clip after that, and I want you to compare the two. Okay, so here's Russell Westbrook after Game 3. This is what he had to say.
He made some shots, too comfortable, but I'm going to shut that off next game, though. Guarantee that.
So he goes on and guarantees that he's going to shut down Ricky Rubio in Game 4. Now, Russell Westbrook took this matchup way too personal. And it hurt him in the long run. I mean, to have 4 fouls before the first half is over, that's not good. That's not good. And shame on Billy Donovan for not taking him out when he had 3 fouls. You can't, we all. The problem is that these players, like these coaches, they listen to the player too much. They forget that they're actually in charge of these players. And I think the players, forget that too. Because we saw the same thing happen with the Mets and Matt Harvey in the World Series. And now we killed Terry Collins for doing that and letting, Matt Harvey dictate himself staying in the game. So now we're obviously all going to kill Billy Donovan for letting Russell Westbrook dictate him staying in the game. When you have 3 fouls, and especially it's your star player, you have to take him out. I mean, he gets 4 fouls by the 1:30 mark of the second quarter. That's not good. So, to me, Billy Donovan screwed up on that. But also, Russell Westbrook screwed up by taking this matchup too personal. And it hurt him. He was absolutely outrageous in this game. And not the good kind. He was all over the place. And it hurt him and the Thunder. Paul George has played well all series long. I have nothing to say bad about Paul George. Carmelo Anthony is exactly what I've always said Carmelo Anthony is. It's just even worse now. He's, I think it's time for him to hang up his shoes because it's done. He's done. Just let it go. And I think at the end of this season, I think you see Carmelo gone, whether it be released or retirement. And I think you see Paul George gone in free agency. So this team could go from being a top team in the West to now being just Russell Westbrook again. So now I played the comments of Russell Westbrook. Now I'm going to play the comments of Donovan Mitchell after Game 4. And you tell me what the big difference is.
I think we just stayed within ourselves. You know, we just stayed that we always say the strength of our team is our team. You know, I said this morning, you know, we're not really worried about one individual comment. You know, I think if we get caught up in that, it takes us out of our own game. And our play showed tonight, we were just focused on each other and making the right plays when we needed to.
That's maturity. That's what it is. It's maturity. The fact that Russell Westbrook is being out-matured by a rookie is not good when it comes to the OKC Thunder. Now, news comes out earlier today that the NBA may suspend Westbrook for Game 5 for leaving the bench. Now, as much as, first of all, I had a problem with Russell Westbrook when Kevin Durant was there because I thought he was taking away the shots from Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant leaves. I end up liking Russell Westbrook because of what he brings to the table by himself. But what he showed in these last 2 games is not good. And now that you're hurting your team to the point where you may get suspended for the next game, and mind you, an elimination game, which to me, I think the NBA should be a little bit of show a little leniency in it. But they're going to do what they got to do. Whatever. But Paul George will be out after this season. Moving on to another to a team that's a young team, top team in the East. I think it is the top team in the East, and that's the Philadelphia Sixers. Joel Embiid is on another planet. I mean, to do some of the things that he's doing as a 7-footer is unreal. We're seeing Ben Simmons playing at top notch. I think he's playing better now than he's played all season. And this is the best time to do it, obviously. But Joel Embiid also said that he thinks that their time is now. And it's the truth, because when you really look at it, look at the East. It's kind of an easy road to get to the NBA Finals. The Cavs are not good. We all know that. They're not good. And the Raptors are a choke artist. They always are. They always will be. The Wizards were, down 2-0 to those choke artists. Obviously now, the Raptors are showing their true colors and the Wizards are coming back. But, it's really not a hard road. And even if the Cavs do get knocked out, then you automatically put the Sixers in the finals. It's no ifs, ands, or buts. If LeBron gets knocked out in the first round, which I don't think is going to happen, but if LeBron gets knocked out in the first round, it's the Sixers straight to the finals. And I'd love to see that. I would love to see the Sixers in the finals. I would love it. To see a no LeBron finals, I mean, it's unbelievable. And we might not even see the Warriors in the finals. The rate that they're going with their injuries and Steph Curry being out, we might not see them in the finals either, because the Rockets are playing unreal right now. So it's going to be interesting. Drake fueled the Wizards, I think, to this point, and so does John Wall, Bradley Beal. They all feel like this is fueling them to beat the Raptors, because in the first 2 games, Drake was, chatting it up with John Wall, saying that I got the brooms for you, this and that, saying that they're going to get swept. And now John Wall really stepped it up. The Wizards really stepped it up. They took the next 2 games. It's the Wizards should be there. They should beat the Raptors, but the Raptors also have DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. But these 2 guys, somehow, some way, as top talents as they are in the NBA, for some reason, they just go into hiding during the playoffs, especially Kyle Lowry. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this series goes on. But I think the Wizards are going to end up beating the Raptors in this series, and it's just going to make an easier road for the Sixers to me. And LeBron James flexed his muscles in Game 4. I mean, he flexed his muscles and scared off the Pacers. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's what he did. It's hard to see LeBron take 2 losses in a row, especially in the playoffs. That wasn't going to happen. But you know what? He had some pretty good play around him, other than Kevin Love. I mean, Kyle Korver started hitting threes for the first time in this series. Jordan Clarkson had a great first half. They're having guys step up, especially in this last game. They had guys step up. LeBron obviously was going to do what he did. I think he had 32 points in the game. But it still came down to the last possession. And to me, the refs blew this call at the end of the game. Lance Stevenson grabbed the ball from Jeff Green. They should have called a jump ball. They didn't. They blew that call. Jeff Green ended up at the line, ended up icing the game right there. And I'm not saying that, it blew the game to the point where, the Pacers were going to win that game. No, they still had to hit a 3, but it would have been a one-shot thing. And also they would have had to win the jump ball where you have Jeff Green, who's obviously taller than Lance Stevenson. So there was a good chance that the Cavs would have gotten the ball back anyway, but there's still that chance. And the refs took that chance away from the Pacers, and it kind of pissed me off. So now going back to Durant and Westbrook, Durant liked an Instagram comment where it said something about, Russell Westbrook being the cancer, I guess, and that's why Durant ended up leaving. It's kind of hard when you really think about this. It's really kind of hard because now it's a like of a comment. So obviously he's reading the comments. Even if it was a mistake, he's reading the comments. Kevin Durant has a problem with social media. He has a problem with the media as a whole. But he takes everything to heart and he kind of bases everything off of social media. And as a Warriors fan or as the Warriors themselves, it's kind of scary, but I mean Durant really hasn't shown anything in his play that it's bothering him. But you can tell that stuff like that gets to him. So he liked the Instagram comment. Do I think anything of it? It really doesn't matter. Does it really matter? Do we care? The fact that I'm even talking about this is ridiculous, but it's whatever. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about, he made comments towards Giannis Antetokounmpo. And basically it was about, if Giannis should end up leaving Milwaukee. Because there was a whole thing about him going to a taco place and, they didn't realize that it was Giannis, or they made him wait for a certain time, whatever. So people were starting to say that Giannis should end up leaving Milwaukee because they don't appreciate him. The city doesn't appreciate him. It's a small market city. He should be playing for a top team, a top market, whatever. So this is what he says. I was at that point. I wanted the same things. What I would say to him, I would tell him to play for himself. Because he's the one out there putting in the work. He's the one out there getting up in the morning, staying committed to the game. Obviously, the comments about staying put sounds good to the fans in Milwaukee and to the ownership because he cares so much about wanting to please them and play for them. And I get it. But this career is about him. It's about whatever he wants to do and however he feels is right for him. And what type of basketball does he want to play? He's not going to stay in Milwaukee if he's not having fun playing the game. I'm sure he has nothing but love and respect for everybody that helped him out in Milwaukee and all the fans that cheered for him. But his career is not about them. It's about himself. So, the perfect comment to this came from Mike Greenberg and his new show, Get Up. I was watching it this morning, and basically what Mike Greenberg said was, it's like he's talking to himself. He's basically trying to make what he did all right, and he wants somebody else to do it. So he's basically talking to himself but in a way of talking to or trying to make it seem like he's talking to Giannis. Do I think that Giannis Antetokounmpo should leave Milwaukee? Maybe just in, small market terms. If he wants to play for a big market team, he could probably become bigger than he already is. But in terms of the team, I think there may be one more weapon, maybe defensive weapon, away from being a top team. I mean, you have Jabari Parker, you have a young Chris Middleton, young Jabari Parker also, but you have, two young players that are solid. You have Giannis that's solid. You have other players around them, Eric Bledsoe. These are guys, you have Henson as well. These are guys that are solid bench players. If they can get maybe one more weapon, sky's the limit for the Milwaukee Bucks. So, that's basically, most of it what I have to, say about the NBA playoffs. Then we had the NHL playoffs. I mean, I can't tell you how excited I am to have the Penguins and the Capitals going at it again. Sidney Crosby, Alexander Ovechkin. It sucks that they can't play in the Stanley Cup. Not that I think that the Capitals would make it into the Stanley Cup, but if Ovechkin was on a Western team, and he got to the, I would just love to see Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby play in the Stanley Cup against each other. So Ovechkin really came up to play in this series and really catapulted them past the Blue Jackets, even though it looked like Columbus may have upset them. Obviously taking the first two games, but then the Caps really showed what they should be playing like. So I can't tell you how excited I am to see this series. This series is going to be unbelievable. And it's time for the Capitals. The Capitals have to get there. They have to get past this hump. They have to get over this hump. This is a team that has had, numerous times the number one team in the league, the number one team in the East, a top team. Obviously, you have an all-world hockey player in Alexander Ovechkin towards the end of his career, but he still's putting up numbers. You have to get to that point. This team is solid all around. And they're just a bunch of choke artists. And this is where they got to get over the hump. If they beat Pittsburgh, that puts a big weight off of Alexander Ovechkin and the rest of the Capitals. It's a huge series for the Capitals. The Capitals have to win this series. But we got some NFL draft talk. There's a boatload of stuff that I have on the NFL draft. I mean, basically, the rest of this show is going to be about the NFL draft. I have a mock draft. I have 3 other mock drafts that I'm going to compare to my own. But before I get to that point, I also have ranking the best QB classes since 2000. NFL.com did it. I'm going to go over that, how I feel about that. Obviously because this is, we have 5 quarterbacks that can go in the first round. So this draft is primarily about the quarterback, and it's going to be interesting. I can't wait for Thursday. I cannot wait for Thursday. I think Thursday is going to be amazing. I think the draft is going to be amazing. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on, and I can't wait. So talking about social media, obviously with Kevin Durant. Now I'm going to go to another top player in the NFL and social media. So Julio Jones goes private for a little bit. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Goes private. Ends up deleting most of the stuff or all of it where he's wearing the Atlanta Falcons uniform. Unfollows everybody from the Atlanta Falcons organization. So it put everybody in a frenzy. It put all the reporters, obviously all the reporters couldn't wait for that. I mean, that's something that they salivate over, seeing something like that. So that happened. The fans are up in arms. Julio Jones comes out and says he just wanted a fresh start. It doesn't make sense. So there's talk, obviously, that he's upset with the team for whatever reason, contractual, I guess. And I think this is his way of saying, you know what? I want to stay with the Atlanta Falcons, but I'm not happy with you guys. So, maybe light a fire under them, I guess. That's what Julio Jones was doing. Do I think Julio Jones is not going to be on the Atlanta Falcons? Absolutely not. He's absolutely going to be wearing that Falcons uniform. So, relax, everybody. Now, again, social media comes into play. And it has to do with the Dallas Cowboys. So, obviously, all of you know that I am a Dallas Cowboys fan, and we have a bunch of idiots on this team, running this team, everything. So, we have David Irving, wakes up to his Twitter being hacked by his ex-girlfriend. So basically, this is what the tweets said. His lies will never prevail. That was one. The next one. And I can back my words up with evidence, video, pictures, audio, etc. That was the other. Next one. Since he broke my phone, you can get a hold of me on Instagram, and gave the Instagram handle for the girl, talking to all the reporters willing to listen. Next one, which was a little telling, obviously, just as much as the domestic violence accusations. And wait till y'all find out about his failed drug tests. So that really gets obviously domestic violence does too. Relax. Then his ex-girlfriend goes, who moves the mother of their child to Texas with no family just to beat her up and put her in the streets, no clothes, no shoes? He's manipulative and a liar. Listen to David lies all you want, you'll all see. So now David Irving comes out and, refutes it, obviously, saying that his girlfriend cheated on him again, so he kicked her out, this and that. So all of a sudden now, the woman comes out. And she has a statement. On April 22nd, the father of my child and my current boyfriend had a vocal argument that spilled out into our yard. My neighbors were concerned and called 911. I was very upset and made some allegations that were false at the time due to our vocal argument and my emotional state. I had no intentions of getting David in trouble. I was just very emotional and upset. I would like to be clear. Although our relationship is not perfect, we love one another, and David did not put his hands on me at any time. I'm deeply sorry that this has caused both of us so much unwanted and undue attention. David is a great father, and our focus on working on our relationship and raising our beautiful daughter. I would urge the media to please refrain from spreading this false story. So the thing that scares me a little bit is because we had no evidence of Ezekiel Elliott. And actually, we had more evidence that he didn't do it, but yet he still got suspended. So first of all, Reuben Foster, you're done. You're going to get suspended no matter what. David Irving may. It's who knows? We don't know. He was suspended earlier in the year last year because of drug test fail. So they could just look at his rap sheet and say, listen, this is not the only time that you were suspended, that you were in trouble, but now because of this, that's the thing. Like, the NFL has their own rules, so they can do whatever they want. It's not, they don't have to get arrested for them to be suspended, i.e. Ezekiel Elliott. And this is what's going to happen with Reuben Foster. Reuben Foster, accused for domestic violence. Supposedly he dragged the girl, punched her in the head, ruptured her eardrum. This is not the first time that Reuben Foster has been in trouble, and it's got to be time to maybe, first of all, the 49ers shouldn't even wait. They should just get rid of him now. But again, the NFL and basically all of sports, this is, it all is based on your talent. If you are a great player, it doesn't matter how much problems you cause, what situations you get yourself into, whether you're arrested or not, whatever, suspended here, there, whatever, you're still going to get a job. I.e. Greg Hardy at the time, but then he got to a point where he did it again, and that was the last straw. But Reuben Foster has to be released. Because, again, this is not the first time, and it really hasn't been the first time in the last 5 months. He's been arrested for weed possession. He was sent home from the combine before he even made it to the 49ers for an altercation with the doctor. And he's had injuries that has, held him out of games. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times he was taken out of a game because he got injured. He's more of a headache for the San Francisco 49ers than he is doing well for them. So, I mean, I think it's time for the NFL and even the 49ers to rid themselves of Reuben Foster. It's just, the guy coming into the league had off-field problems. He's showing he's still having the off-field problems. It's time to let him go. You gave him that shot. He's not doing well with it. Let him go. Because now it's getting to the point where it's starting to be bigger issues. Domestic violence is not something to mess around with. The fact that that he has the berries, I guess you can say, without actually saying, FCC. The fact that he had the berries to even punch a lady and rupture her eardrum, that person should not be making that kind of money. That person should not be, out in the open. That's ridiculous. He should not have a job. I'm sorry. He should not. Especially the size of this guy. Come on. This is a problem. That's the problem. Ray Rice, these guys are huge. You're hitting a woman, you're going to do damage, a.k.a. rupturing her eardrum. The NFL and the 49ers have to rid themselves of Reuben Foster. They have to. So when I come back from the break, Kawhi Leonard might be out of San Antonio and into the purple and gold. I'll tell you why. Adrian Broner, the boxer, had some interesting comments in a post-game interview after his fight, the draw that happened between Jesse Vargas. There's some baseball things I want to talk about. Verlander, maybe giving something to the fans. Harvey won't be in the Mets rotation. Rainouts have been an issue so far this year. Giancarlo Stanton, don't be so worried, Yankee fans. And, of course, we're going to get into the draft. I got mock drafts, and a whole bunch of other stuff. NFL schedule was released, so we're going to talk about that when I get back. Hey, doesn't it get annoying when you're watching sports? Let's say you want to send a text to your friend or tweet something out about the game or check your fantasy team, or, hey, how about you want to go to the game and even set up a tailgate party, and you have to go to all these different apps, websites, etc. to do all of that. What if you could just go to one place for all of this? Well, I'm here to tell you there is a place like that, and it's Yelphi Sports app. You can get detailed real-time scores, stats, news, rumors, fantasy news, team and player comparisons, built-in social network feature which is integrated with Twitter and Facebook, create private one-to-one or group chat with your friends, buy and sell tickets, host a tailgate party, or even a pickup game. One sports app for all your sports information. Make sure you go download Yelphi Sports app at the iTunes App Store. Yelphi, the only sports app that you need.
All Noise Radio. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. All Noise Radio is an internet radio station that's fully produced by graduates of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. From modern rock to old school hip hop, country to classical, news, talk, sports, and more. It's the noise you can't ignore. Log on to allnoiseradio.com. Fire up the station. Find out more about your favorite jocks. Get the latest CSB news and more. Plus, you can take All Noise Radio with you on the go for free. Just download the Live 365 app to your iPhone, iPod Touch, or BlackBerry and search All Noise Radio. Check out tomorrow's broadcasters today at allnoiseradio.com. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Hey, this is Jerry Napoleonello, host of Running Up the Score. We are live once every week at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we hit on all the top headlines in the world of sports. You can also find us on Stitcher, iTunes, and those of you that like the visual aspect, check us out on YouTube. Running Up the Score. We run up the score on Sports Radio.
Cyberstation USA is the future of radio. Get your business into the online future at the world's largest internet radio station. From banner placement on our homepage to any of our broadcaster stations, commercials on our video player, audio spots on any of our shows, or at the beginning of any of our on-demand broadcasts. Cyberstation USA offers competitive rates with a worldwide reach, a fully integrated one-stop shop social media broadcast platform. For more information, please contact our sales department at cameo@cyberstationusa.com.
Hey mama, I made it to the bright lights and stages. I remember I was so impatient, and now we got the whole wide world waiting. Hey mama, I made it. Yep, your son all grown up. I get so busy and get hard to pick the phone up. If 004 it, 77 know it. I gotta say I miss you in case you just didn't know it. Sometimes I don't show it, and Miss Crump, it's my bad. I just wanna let you know that I'm so glad that you just let me do me. You just set me free.
Now back to Running Up the Score. Here's Jerry.
Nah, I'm so busy, I'm constantly overbooking. Crib up in the hills, you constantly overlooking the ocean. Your son causing so much commotion. Man, my delivery is better than Postman. Ain't even human yet, I think that I'm programmed.
All right, first call in at 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. You can also follow and tweet us at RUTS Sports, as well as follow us on Instagram at the same handle, at RUTS Sports. Check out our website, www.rutsports.weebly.com, for all the information on the show, every website that we're on, all the podcasts, the websites, where you can download everything. Whatever you need for our show is on our website. Go check it out. So I said we're going to get into some baseball talk before I even get touch on the NFL. Verlander, I hope everybody saw that. It was actually pretty funny. Basically, the crowd was basically saying, "You suck," and he actually went into the dugout, wrote "No, you suck" on a piece of paper, and showed it to the fans. And that's something that you like to see. It's funny. It's funny because, at least you're getting something like that. I mean, obviously there's a lot more things that people hear, people say at games that it's just not, it's not right. And to see something like this, a nice, innocent, back and forth between a player and a fan, it's hilarious. The Mets send Matt Harvey to the bullpen because of his recent struggles in the rotation. They're hoping that this will get him back to his top-notch potential. We'll see what happens with that. I don't think hey, listen, I would love to see him in a Yankees uniform. I think he would do well, but he's really got to work on his stuff. He's not pitching well right now. Scary news: Danny Farquhar had a brain hemorrhage during the game a couple of days ago. He had brain surgery, everything like that. Supposedly, I think he's still in critical, but he's stable. So that's good news. The brain surgery went well, so we'll keep an eye on that story. But it's scary. He's lucky that he's still alive. Giancarlo Stanton finally coming to form. Went 4 for 4 last night with a home run, an absolute bomb. So I'm glad to see that. I told you guys that not to worry about Giancarlo Stanton. It's just going to happen. It'll be soon. He struggles in the beginning of the season. I mean, we've all saw this, especially Yankee fans. We all saw this with Mark Teixeira. He struggled in the first 2 months of the season. He struggled mightily. And then he would turn it into a 270, 285 season. That's what you're going to see with Giancarlo Stanton. I mean, he was down, I think, maybe 10 home runs last year to Aaron Judge at the All-Star break. He ended up with almost, I think, 8 or 9, more than Aaron Judge. He had 59 on the season. So don't worry about Giancarlo Stanton. I was just worried in the batting order and the way that he had it, way that Aaron Boone had it, that I didn't like. I didn't like having Didi batting 4 behind him. So I'm glad that changed. And now we're going to start seeing Giancarlo Stanton beast it now. And like I said, we had the rainouts have been a problem with Major League Baseball. I think this is the most rainouts by the end of April, I think, since 1986. And it's been a problem. Obviously, there's nothing that they can do about it unless because there's been talks of shortening the season. Doubt anything's going to come out of it. I think it's just a weird time in baseball. So the NFL schedule was released. I have the toughest schedules. I have the most forgiving schedules, and I have the best revenge games and the best primetime games. So the number one thing on the toughest NFL schedules, every team in the NFC East. This is the second straight year I included NBC's favorite division in this exercise after noting that the Cowboys slate was particularly worrisome last year. The divisional games are always competitive with the potential juggernaut forming in Philadelphia, but I listed the NFC East again here because they drew perhaps the most difficult slate of out-of-division games. The division has to face all 4 teams in the NFC South loaded with quarterbacks and talent out of the conference: the Redskins, Eagles, Giants.
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
So we just lost power. So that's a problem, because now my whole show is gone on the computer. So that's cool. At least I have it on camera. So I will continue to go. This sucks. So, no point in having this now. So we lost power. I lost my whole show on the software that I recorded into, which sucks, but thankfully I have it on my camera here, so I'm going to take it off of that. But yeah, this sucks, so I am going to continue going here. So, toughest schedules here. Greg Rosenthal from NFL.com wrote this article. He has all the teams in the NFC East. He has at the hardest schedule so far, just because they got all of the NFC South, all of the AFC South. It's a tough two schedules. It's tough. It's a tough schedule to go on either way. But also, you just have the NFC East that you have to go through, which makes anything harder. Then you have the Oakland Raiders and the Los Angeles Chargers have the second worst. Atlanta Falcons and New Orleans Saints, because they have to play obviously the NFC East. The Los Angeles Rams, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Baltimore Ravens. Then you go to the most forgiving, and you have teams like the Green Bay Packers, the rest of the NFC North, the AFC South, the Denver Broncos, and the Arizona Cardinals. So that's going to be interesting. Then you have the revenge games, and those are always nice to go about. Atlanta Falcons at the Philadelphia Eagles, week 1. And it's the first game. It's going to be fun to watch. That's a great game to start off this season with. Then you have week 8, New Orleans Saints and the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, I believe that was the miracle game, wasn't it? So those are two sweet games to go into. The Week 5 game, Indianapolis Colts against Josh McDaniels. That's going to be great. Jacksonville Jaguars versus the New England Patriots, Week 2. Baltimore Ravens against the Cincinnati Bengals, Week 2. Aaron Rodgers versus Anthony Barr, Week 2. Sam Bradford versus the Minnesota Vikings. Then you go on to Dez Bryant versus the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll see what happens with that, where he goes. It's going to be interesting. Marquette King against the Oakland Raiders, which really doesn't matter because, it's a punter. Malcolm Butler versus the Bill Belichick, Week 10. That's going to be interesting. And Richard Sherman versus Seattle Seahawks, Week 13. So those are all great revenge games. Those are games to look out for. Then you have the top 9 primetime games. Los Angeles Rams at the San Francisco 49ers, first number 1. Week 7. That's going to be a good game because you have two up-and-coming teams. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo has really turned that team around, the San Francisco 49ers. It's going to be interesting to see what they do in the draft. Green Bay Packers at the New England Patriots. It's Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers. Atlanta Falcons against the Eagles, as I said before. Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers, Week 1. New Orleans Saints at the Minnesota Vikings, Week 8. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Jacksonville Jaguars, Week 11. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Oakland Raiders, Week 14. Minnesota Vikings at the Los Angeles Rams, Week 4. Los Angeles Rams and the Oakland Raiders, Week 1. And it's interesting to say that there was no Dallas Cowboys in any of those primetime games. So now we're going to get into the draft. This is what everybody was waiting for. So I'm going to give my mock draft, and I am going to give you what the other articles that I have, the other mock drafts that I have, and we're going to compare them all. So I'll start off with my own at the number 1 pick in the draft, and that is the Cleveland Browns, and I believe that they are going to go with Josh Allen. And Sports Illustrated had Josh Allen. Sporting News had Josh Allen, and then Kuiper and McShay on ESPN.com had Josh Allen as well. The number 2 pick in the draft, I have the New York Giants going with Saquon Barkley. All three went with the same. I don't want to see that happen, but I just believe it's going to happen. I don't think that they're going to trade the pick. But I do we did hear that they were going to look at Sam Darnold, that they like Sam Darnold. If he was there, they were going to pick him. So it's going to be interesting to see if they do that. But if Sam Darnold does not go number 2, the New York Jets will be taking Sam Darnold in the number 3 pick in mine, in Kuiper and McShay's, in Sporting News, and Sports Illustrated. So all 3 of us going with the first 3 picks as well. Same goes for the 4th pick. Cleveland Browns will take defensive end Bradley Chubb, NC State. So they get Josh Allen, probably the top quarterback in this draft, and Bradley Chubb, the top pass rusher in this draft. Then you have Denver go quarterback as well, for me at least. I believe they'll go Josh Rosen. The Kuiper and McShay picked Josh Rosen as well. Then we have the Sporting News. They took Denzel Ward, cornerback out of Ohio State. And the Sports Illustrated has Baker Mayfield. That's not going to happen. To me, Josh Rosen was a good pick because I don't think that, you're going to have, Case Keenum as your franchise quarterback. I just don't think that's going to happen. So he's just a placeholder. Josh Rosen will be with that team. Then I have with Indianapolis Colts, I have them going with guard Quentin Nelson out of Notre Dame. And I think it's just annoying to keep going on and on. So I will end up putting it in the video on who the other 3 articles took for the mock draft on the YouTube video when I finish editing it. Tampa Bay, I have them taking cornerback Minkah Fitzpatrick out of Alabama. Then I have an interesting, and I usually don't do this when I do mock drafts, but I felt like I got to do it with this pick. I feel like Chicago's going to trade this pick to Buffalo, and they'll take quarterback Baker Mayfield. I think Buffalo needs a quarterback, and it's getting to that point where, in this draft, unless they wanted to take Lamar Jackson, which I think Lamar Jackson is just more of a, probably a better Tyrod Taylor, but I feel like they kind of want to get away from that. Not to mention, I think Baker Mayfield is around the same kind of, play, but I just feel like he's a better thrower. And I think that Buffalo is going to trade up and take Baker Mayfield. It'd be interesting to see what else they would trade. But Baker Mayfield, Buffalo, quarterback out of Oklahoma. Then I have San Francisco taking linebacker Roquan Smith out of Georgia. Now, going back to Baker Mayfield, and I said earlier that I was going to tell you why I think that Baker Mayfield is not the quarterback for the Jets. And now everybody thinks that Baker Mayfield is going to go to the Jets. I don't believe it. And I don't think it's right. And I'm not even saying that it's right for the Jets. I don't think it's right for Baker Mayfield. I don't think, the Jets, for all the quarterbacks that they've gotten, they don't fine-tune a quarterback well. They don't. It's just, that's a fact. They just don't fine-tune a quarterback well. And Baker Mayfield, I feel, needs to be a little fine-tuned to an NFL offense, to an NFL team, to the NFL itself. So I think for the Jets to take Sam Darnold, it's a more established quarterback. Not that he's not a quarterback that needs work. He obviously needs work. All these quarterbacks need work. But I think Baker Mayfield needs a little bit more work, and the Jets are not the team for that. So that's just why I feel that Baker Mayfield and the Jets don't work. So then Oakland, I have taking linebacker Tremaine Edmonds out of Virginia Tech. Miami, I have taking defensive lineman Vito Vea from Washington. Then Chicago taking the pick from Buffalo. I have them taking Denzel Ward, cornerback out of Ohio State. I have Washington taking defensive end Marcus Davenport. I have Green Bay taking cornerback Mike Hughes out of Central Florida. Then I have Arizona taking the 5th quarterback taken in the first round, Lamar Jackson out of Louisville. They need a quarterback, and Bruce Arians had a lot of good things to say about Lamar Jackson. So I feel like his ex-team will end up picking him up, maybe even to bring back Bruce Arians, but we'll see. Baltimore, I have taken wide receiver DJ Moore. I think just the speed will help Joe Flacco get down the field. He likes to throw if you watched the Tom and Jerry Sports Show and, running up the score. We always talked about Joe Flacco because Tom was a Ravens fan. So, we call it the Flacco bomb. Like that's his thing. So he needs a fast wide receiver on the outside, and I think DJ Moore is that guy. DJ Moore, wide receiver out of Maryland, going to the Ravens. Then I have the Los Angeles Chargers. They love their safeties. They love their playmaking safeties. That safety, Derwin James out of Florida State. I wish that he would drop down to 19 for the Cowboys to take him, but I don't see that happening. He's just that good. Seattle, they need offensive line, obviously, and I think they go guard Will Hernandez out of UTEP. Then at 19, I have the Dallas Cowboys taking the number 1 wide receiver, but the second wide receiver taken. I have them taking Calvin Ridley. Obviously, after releasing Des Bryant, it kind of tipped their hand. They're going wide receiver. It's got to happen. Calvin Ridley's their guy. And I think that they end up trading for Earl Thomas later on. Detroit, I have taken defensive tackle Daron Payne out of Alabama. I have Cincinnati taking offensive tackle Colton Miller out of UCLA. Buffalo taking center James Daniels out of Iowa. New England taking offensive tackle Mike McGlinchey out of Notre Dame. I have Carolina taking cornerback Yari Alexander from Louisville. Tennessee, I have taking linebacker Rashaan Evans out of Alabama. Atlanta taking defensive tackle Taven Bryan from Florida. New Orleans taking Dallas Goedert out of South Dakota State. I have Pittsburgh taking linebacker Leighton Vander Esch out of Boise State. I have Jacksonville taking offensive tackle Connor Williams out of Texas. Minnesota taking offensive lineman Billy Price from Ohio State. New England taking cornerback Josh Jackson out of Iowa. And then I have Philadelphia rounding up the first round, taking a running back Darius Geis out of LSU. So that's my mock draft. Obviously in the video you'll see what the others took. And it's going to be fun. I mean, it's always fun. When it comes to the NFL draft, I love it. And it's funny when you look at Lamar Jackson, if you put him next to Saquon Barkley, who everybody thinks is the best player in this draft, if you put him next to his numbers next to Saquon Barkley, Lamar Jackson's got better numbers, rushing yards and touchdowns. So that's a nice little tidbit for you guys. I think that's it. It's going to be interesting what I can do with this show because of losing power. So that sucked. I lost the whole show, mainly the beginning of the show on the computer, because of this studio losing power, so that sucks. But that will do it for the show. I'll be back next Tuesday, not Monday. I'll be back next Tuesday, talking sports with you once again. We'll go over the draft, what happened in the draft. I can't wait. But that will do it for Running Up the Score. I'm Jerry, and be breezy.
Be breezy.
You've been listening to Running Up the Score.
We run up the score on Sports Radio.